Alright, Boinks here, and we are back with some more Ashes of Outland cards. Today's video will be about the Shaman cards, as you can clearly see. Let's jump right into it. So we got Bog Spine Knuckles, 5-cost 4/2 weapon for Shaman. After your hero attacks, you transform your minions into random ones that cost 1 more. So it's looking kind of at the Evolved Shaman once again. Kind of decks. Is it... I mean, it's... I don't know. I don't know if there's really like a token Evolved Shaman that's gonna really work, really. Because, like, token kind of works on its own, but then you normally buff the tokens, right? Not transform them into random ones that cost 1 more. So I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. But then you're going to probably do Murlocs otherwise, but Murlocs are cheap. And they normally synergize together. So I'm just not really seeing where this necessarily could fit, really. So I'm going to give it a 4, because there's a possibility. I could be wrong, so I'm going to put it at 4. Bog Strock Cackler. Cackler? No, Cackler's not right, because that would be CA. Clanklers. I don't know. Anyway, it's a 3-cost 3/3. Battlecry, you transform your adjacent minions into random ones that cost 1 more. So this is once again kind of looking at like a token evolve deck, so this isn't necessarily great again. Well, I mean, no, this isn't as much that it's evolving, so I think this one could be a bit of an exception, a little better. Because, like, transforming one thing is generally pretty good. Because that's normally costing, like, let's say 1. So then if you're transforming 2 things at the same time, that's actually a little better. But if you're transforming a bunch of things, like with the weapon, then you're looking more at, like, a token deck thing. Because you want to transform, like, 7 or 6. Like, a bunch of them, but... Generally, with Evolve, you don't really have, like, a huge board. You generally, I think, have about 4 guys on the board, if I'm remembering correctly. Because they're normally, like, small dudes that spawn a big thing, and then you evolve both of those. So then the small 1/1, that was, like, I don't know, a 5-cost 1/1 is now, like, 6-cost whatever. Which gives you plenty of value, then. So I think this necessarily works pretty well. I just don't think the weapon does. This could be decent. But I think I would maybe go with like the Quest Shaman right now. With the Heart of Vernal. The Battlecry stuff. Because transforming them into random minions that cost 2 more could be really good. So I'm going to go with a 7 on this one. 7 I think is pretty fair. So 7 out of 10. Marsh Spawn. If you cast a spell last turn, you discover a spell. This is an elemental and a 3-cost 3/4. I don't know why I don't have like a specific way I should do that. I should always do it cost, stats, text, and then if it's an elemental or whatever. I don't know. I kind of just jump around. It's whatever my eye goes to first. It's basically like, okay, there. And then we go. Anyway. I mean, I think this is relatively decent. I think it's a pretty fair card. If you cast a spell last turn, you get an option of spells, right? It's a basic 3-cost stat line, so discovering a spell makes it very good. And it's an elemental, which shamans generally seem to like, I've noticed. So, I'd put this at like a 6. 6 out of 10, I think is fair for this. We got another portal. we got a Scepter Shrine Portal, a 3-cost Shaman spell that deals 3 damage and summons a random 3-cost minion. It also has Overload of 1. So it could be good for some kind of Overload deck, or overall it's actually just pretty decent. It does a little bit of damage, gives you a 3-cost minion. It seems pretty fair. And the Overload 1 for dealing 3 lines up perfectly with the Holy Smite card for Priest, which is a 1-cost dealing 3 damage. But that is specifically to a minion. But lines up pretty well with that, actually. So it's not exact, but cost-wise it is pretty much exact. I mean, it could be a drawback that you're not getting that battle cry off of the 3 cost, but it also could be a good thing, depending on what you pull. So, I think this is fairly balanced. I think this one sits about right in the middle of where it should be. So, 5 out of 10. Just overall decent all around. Shattered Rumbler. 5-cost 4/6 elemental for Shaman. Battlecry, if you cast a spell last turn, you deal 2 damage to all minions. Could be 4 if you got the Heart of Vernal. Otherwise, it is just 2 to all minions. Fits into kind of a elemental shaman of doing, or control shaman actually it could fit into as well. Maybe a little low damage for control shaman, but otherwise it could, I think, get in there. I think 2 isn't that bad for a 4/6 for 5. All you had to do is cast a spell, which generally Control Shaman, I think, is doing. Elemental Shaman wouldn't really be doing that much of spell casting. I think it's okay. I really don't see it fitting anywhere too much, I think, meta-wise. But overall, it's pretty okay. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It's not bad. Torrent, 5-cost, deal 8 damage to a minion. So we're on the same cost right now as Flame Lance then. Cost 3 less if you cast a spell last turn. So 2 costs to cast Flame Lance. Wow. I don't even know if I have a comment for that. That's it's pretty good. Pretty dang good. Flame Lance, I mean, the problem with Flame Lance was a lot of its damage would be most of the time be overkill on it. And that's why Rolling Fireball, I think it was? Rolling Fireball was introduced because that was basically Flame Lance, but all that extra damage goes somewhere else too. So that was just good. Flame Lance was pretty decent at dealing with big stuff if you needed to. Like, instantly kills the Lich King, or Dr. Boom, or Gruul. Anything big, really, was just gone. Obliterated. For 2, easily dealing with anything big is great then. Is it maybe overpowered? Possibly. Because you can easily deal with anything at that point, pretty much. For, like, 2 mana? With this one, I think I'm gonna have to go with, like, 8. Because it's really good. Just because it can be so freaking cheap. And just, like, your whole opponent's turn might just be playing, like, the Lich King. And then using their hero power. That's their turn. You played a spell the turn before. So for 2 damage, you're dealing with that 8-cost Lich King. You've got board control instantly. And now you got 8 more mana to build up your side of the board now. So 8 out of 10. It's pretty good. More totem cards. We got Totemic Reflection as a Shaman spell that costs 3. You give a minion +2/+2 if it's a totem. If big if it's a totem, summon a copy of it, which pretty good for wild. For standard, I don't know if we really have any totems besides the basic ones too much. So I don't know exactly what you're gonna buff up and make a copy of besides probably the 0-2 taunt. Because that's the only good one besides, well, it's that one and the healing totem. The other two suck. Spell damage totem, we don't care. 1/1 totem also is just bad. If I wanted 1/1s, I should have played Paladin. Anyway. No, I don't know where this necessarily sits. Unless I'm forgetting totems in the standard. I really think it's mostly just the basic ones and Flame Tongue Totem. Because that's a classic card. Where I see this being amazing is like Wild. Where turn 3, you could play Totem Giant. Since he overloads 1. You can't do it turn 2. Because then you won't do this turn 3. So turn 3, you'd play Totem Giant. Or Totem Golem. Totem Golem, not Totem Giant. You play Totem Golem. And then turn 4, where you only have 3 mana, you do Totemic Reflections on it. So now you've got 2, 5, 6 totems on turn 4. If that's not an aggressive start, I don't know what is. Alright, that is ridiculously good. If I have to think of other good totem cards, I really just think of Totem Golem when I think of amazing totem cards right off the bat. But, I think that's great. I didn't give it a rating yet. Well, first, I should always just talk standard, though. Really, I don't see really use for this otherwise in there. So, I'm probably going to go with, like, a 3 out of 10. It's not, I don't see any use really for it. Vivid Spores. Give your minions Death Rattle, resummon this minion. Pretty simple. If you're trying to keep board control and your opponent's thinking on wiping it, they ain't gonna wipe it, they're just gonna waste mana at that point. So, pretty good. It's only 4. So, I think that's pretty helpful then, since it's only 4. Because if it's like, I don't know, 6, it's not worth it. 4 I can get behind. So, what should I give it? It's pretty simple. Pretty simplistic card. I'll go with a 6. 6 out of 10. Pretty decent. Now we got some more interesting stuff. The Lurker Below. 6 cost, 6/3. The legendary Shaman card. You deal 3 damage to an enemy minion. If it dies, repeat on one of its neighbors. I mean, that's only good if your opponent's playing, like, I don't know, Token Druid. This is a hard counter to Token Druid, is basically what I'm saying. Otherwise, it's not great. I know they even buffed it, I think, later, if I'm remembering correctly, to a 6/5, but even that, I don't know if that necessarily saves it. But, we're looking at this one. Unless I'm not remembering correctly. I don't actually know. Blah, blah, blah. I just don't really see a use for this outside of a hard counter to Token Druid. Because Token Druid just has a bunch of 2/2s that they then would Savage Roar. But it's only one time, too. Because let's say they do Force Aid, you Lurker Below, and then they just do Force Aid again. You can't do Lurker Below again. You've only got him once. So, I mean, it's helpful. but you only get the one use, right? So, I don't know if this is necessarily that great. Hard counter token, technically, one time, it hard counters your opponent's move. But otherwise, I'm just not seeing it. I'm really not. I'm not seeing it, like, at all. I'm gonna go 3. 3 out of 10. It's not that great. Now we got the last Shaman legendary. Lady Vashje? I don't know. 3 cost 4/3. Shaman legendary. Spell damage +1. Death rattle, you shuffle the prime version into your deck, obviously, which is a 7 cost 5/4 with spell damage +1, with the battle cry of drawing 3 cards and reducing the cost of those cards by 3. I don't know how I feel about this one. I think this might be one of the weaker prime ones, because spell damage is 1 on both. But, like, the spell damage on the second one, it's a 5/4. And plus, spell damage for Shaman isn't... Like, it's useful, but it's not, like, the class... Like, it's not the class most useful for. Well, actually, the least useful is probably for, like, Hunter or Priest. But it is kind of helpful. It's probably still helpful for Shaman, though. But it is only 1 for 7. And it's pretty easy to kill. And let's say those 3 spells you draw don't even have anything to do with spell damage, which is very possible for Shaman. Because with Shaman cards, some of them are ones that deal damage, but there are a lot of Shaman cards that just don't, which are generally the ones I think that are more used. Like, who really uses Lightning Bolt, Storm Crack? Lightning Storm isn't used too much as far as I know. It's another hard counter 2 token, but we'll talk about this. I'm not even gonna talk about that right now, or probably on this channel much, because I do just like to do these card reviews and hopefully go on to other things instead of doing all Hearthstone. Because if I did all Hearthstone, man, I'd enjoy it a lot, but I do also like to play a bit of variety a bit more, and I'm sure people that would watch would like a bit more variety than just Hearthstone too. But I do kind of see where this is going, because it does reduce the cost, so it's like, oh, you'll probably be able to play it then. But there are some Shaman cards that are also very expensive too. Like, you got Eye of the Storm, that's relatively new. That's going to cost 7 now instead of 10. You could draw that. You got Stormbringer. It's too RNG based, because you can't put, like, just 3 spells in your, or just like a few spells in your deck. Hope you draw her before you draw your spells, because then she's really useless at that point. That is a thing with a lot of prime cards. It's like, yeah, they're powerful, but you have to draw them. Which, I do understand that, but, like, this one is very heavy on drawing it early. Some of them, it doesn't matter when you draw them, but this one, you want to draw when you for sure still have spells in your deck. So it's very situational and very RNG based on this one. So this one is a lot more difficult to figure out where to put this one. Man. I mean, even the first... I'd honestly say the normal version is a lot stronger than the Prime version. Well, no, the Prime version does draw those cards, but it is, like, still really weak for a 7 cost. It's only a 5/4. Yeah, it's getting a bunch of reducing, but who knows if you're going to be able to play them that turn, and then by the next turn she's dead. She's only a 5/4. You know what? I'm gonna go 4 out of 10 on this one. I don't see it with this one. I think the Prime version would have to be a little, like, maybe take off some of the attack and give it more health. I think would make it better. Make it like a 3/7 or something like that. Like low attack, high health. So you can hopefully keep that spell damage on the board, because that's what's important on that, is that spell damage. Yeah, the battle cry is mostly what you're looking at, but you do kind of want that spell damage still sticking around too if you can't play all the spells that you just drew. Because then you lose that spell damage by the next turn, because it's only got 4 health. So I will say 4 out of 10. Oh, that was a lot of thinking on that last one. But next time, I will be diving into the next class. I believe I'm close to the end. I don't remember how many I have left. I'd have to look. But next time will be the Warlock cards. See you then.